The Philadelphia Phillies survived the tropical storm weekend, sweep the Mets, and we've got lots to talk about today. Plenty of storylines from the weekend, from home runs and just how the hitting was phenomenal at Citizens Bank Park for 4 games straight to sweep the Mets, to the bullpen, from Orion Kinkering all the way through. We've got so much to talk about today on PHLY Phillies podcast. I'm Renee Washington, joined by Jamie Lynch. Excited that we have, despite the rainy, gloomy weekend, plenty of sunshine that we're feeling because the Phillies are looking like they're in postseason form. We're going to get into the magic number. We're going to break it all down. But Jamie, happy Monday, happy Victory Monday at that.
Yeah, that was awesome. I'm shocked they got all the games in. Didn't see that one coming. I would have laid money on the heavy favorite there of some postponement of games this weekend, but it was just, I'm not giving the weather people a hard time, but a little overhyped to us. I was hearing 2 to 4 inches, and it was just like a steady rain, which was really good for the sod I laid last week. Excited about that. I had some new grass growth out there. But yeah, I'm shocked they got all the games in, and good thing they did because they kicked their ass, and they did it in a variety of forms, whether it was a blown save and 10th inning heroics, and we'll recap the weekend here, clutch hits, home runs. They did it, good pitching performances. They did it in a variety of ways, which was really nice to see. And now, Renee, our magic number is 1, but most importantly, it's 2 to lock in games at Citizens Bank Park in that wild card round. So you have a week to do it, and you have some bad opponents to do it against. So it's about to be Red October here in Philadelphia.
It's finally... Well, it's the last week of September, which is insane. The last full week of the regular season. So we are knocking on the door for Red October. It's here, which is incredible that the Phillies are playing the way they are. It was a great weekend. I love when the Phillies are winning, even with the game being changed on Sunday and pushed back to 6:05. Your days are much better. You got to enjoy your weekend with the fam and everything. I got to unpack my fall decorations and get them out because I'm like, you know what? I'm in such a great mood. It's a rainy day. I'm not going anywhere.
We had the apple cinnamon candle going. So
yeah, okay, there you go. I brought out the pumpkins and everything. I did my fall decorations.
Yeah.
That's me. That's fully me. But then also, as Patrick Glenn is saying, meet the Mets, greet the Mets. Always nice to sweep the Mets. Sweep.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Do you know that song? Sweep.
Yeah, kind of. You might
Drop it like it's hot.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
Snoop.
Yeah.
D-O-double-G.
Yeah, that was nice because not only all that, but you actually officially eliminated the Mets from the playoffs too.
So makes it that much better.
It's just an organization I couldn't wish the worst for. Like I really love their suffering. I thoroughly enjoy it. I mean, they're such an asshole organization that they celebrated or they practiced celebrating the World Series last year. And, they deserve everything they have coming to them. And it was just great.
It was great. And look, welcome in everybody because it was great. We're all happy. We swept the Mets. Could not have asked for a better 4 stretch games. We saw, and we'll dive into recapping the weekend in just a moment here, but we saw a lot this past weekend. A lot to be thankful for. It is officially fall. Happy fall, y'all. Thank you, Mickey.
Today was the calendar. First day I was like, ooh, should I have gotten the pants out?
Not yet. You should. The calendar passed September 22nd, and after Earth, Wind, and Fire Day on the 21st, then the 22nd is officially fall. And here we are because, honestly, at this time of year, to be able to see the way that the Phillies are playing could not be more incredibly excited. I know Rob Thompson was saying, we're playing well. I'm glad we're winning, but we're playing well. I think that is the key. It's a very basic line, but when you really unpack it, it's what we're seeing from the Phillies. They're not just winning games. We're seeing different players are stepping up. We're seeing late game heroics. We're seeing pitching consistency. Still some people with some question marks, but that list is shrinking for the bullpen. And yes, Tyreek, peaking at the perfect time when you look at how the Phillies are playing. So they're not just winning games. I mean, you expect them to beat the Mets, but you see how they're beating the Mets and how they're winning against the Braves and how they're winning these games down the stretch. And that's what makes it the most exciting to see of how the Phillies are playing. So let's quickly recap the weekend, Jamie, starting Friday night. We had Thursday's game, which we had a chance to talk about and recap on Friday. But getting into Friday, it took a little extra for the Phillies. But
not what you didn't love to see that from Craig Kimbrell, a blown save there. But we'll get into Jose Alvarado. He's got me feeling, and of course the story of the weekend. But yeah, Craig Kimbrell has not had the best second half of a season. So he blows it there in the bottom of the ninth. But then this had to be really sweet for Alec Boehm because he's not like the most intimidating hitter in the world. But he certainly is clutch. He led the team with runners in scoring position batting average this year. They walk Bryce Harper to get to him. And anytime that gets done, it's such an insult to get that hit and game-winning RBI. The ghost runner, Trey Turner, on second was able to score with a little bloop over the first baseman there. And it was pretty cool to see. You disrespect Alec Boehm like that, and he makes you pay. Beautiful way to forget about a blown save there by Kimbrel.
Yeah, and honestly, I love how Alec Boehm answered the call there. It is disrespectful. You think, if you're going to walk Bryce and we're going to assume that, Alec is not someone we have to take seriously in that sense. And that's not the first time that's happened. We saw that happen. That's happened before earlier in the season as well. So I love that. In extra innings, Alec Boehm steps up and delivers. JT Realmuto and Nick Castellanos have to be my two of my players that I have to highlight. If I had to pick like a top 5 that I'm excited for and happy to see just how they're playing right now, it's definitely those two. I mean, JT Realmuto, we talked about in the show before and questioned, at times down the stretch, should even be the one that's at bat because he just hasn't been able to get hits. Well, home or away, doesn't matter. JT Realmuto did a phenomenal job this weekend along with Nick Castellanos just to continue the streak, and the numbers that they're putting up have been great to see. Yeah,
JT's, I guess, kind of in a way quietly because Castellanos has stolen a lot of the spotlight. Stott with the game-winning hit last week in Atlanta. JT has quietly worked his way out of this, it appears. It has only been a week, but Nick and JT, they seem to really be on track here for a potentially strong playoffs. And if you get those guys going in this lineup, I know our resident John Blaze Braves fans in the chat here, but even John Blaze, you can tough talk it if you want. Yeah. But even if this Phillies team gets JT going, that's a 1 through 7 and frankly 1 through 9 lineup with the way Rojas and Marsh are at the bottom of the order with that speed on, and then Schwarber kind of being the leadoff guy, the cleanup guy for them. It's a potentially really nasty lineup that a ton of pitchers aren't going to want to really, face here. Yeah. So JT is crucial to this because he kind of ties that, 1 through 5 heart of the order into the bottom of the order. So if JT gets going and Nick can stay on fire here, the Phillies are going to be pretty nasty.
Yeah, in the last 6 games for JT, 2 home runs, 7 RBIs. I mean, for Nick, the streak that he's on right now has been out of this world when you look at the last 7 games with 5 home runs.
I'm sorry.
Siri's trying to chime into the conversation.
Siri, we didn't shut up. We're doing a show.
Jeez, Siri, how dare you? But in the last 7 games for Nick, Casty clutch. Chef Castellanos, he's cooking.
Yeah.
Chef cooking. He has had 5 home runs, 11 RBIs in the last 7 games, and just the way that it's both of them on the defensive side and also when they're at bat have just been able to help round out this batting lineup. It makes for a great matchup when you talk about the Braves and we talked about their top 5 and the strength of their top 5. And just for anybody they face in the postseason, that we're able to have that confidence knowing that, hey, aside from Bryce and Bryson and Kyle, we've got a lot of, through the whole order, we've got players.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kyle Schwarber is another one of those guys. And, we talked about JT just kind of tying that heart of the order to the bottom of the order. Well, Kyle Schwarber got his 100th RBI on Friday night.
Woo-hoo!
And the company he joins is absolutely freaking incredible. I know we talked about it like a week or 2 ago that he was on the cusp of this, but he becomes only the 13th Major League Baseball player to have 120 walks, 100 runs, 100 RBI scored, and 45 home runs. Now, the list is it's literally all Hall of Fame players. And I've never even thought about Kyle Schwarber in that context. And that's a conversation for another day. But listen to these names he joined in that elite company. Babe Ruth, you heard of him?
You could literally leave the list at Babe.
The great Bambino. There was this guy, Barry Bonds. He had a couple good years there.
Yeah.
Still Barry Bonds, with or without steroids. Greatest baseball player I've ever seen. Mark McGwire. He's well known.
I was such a huge Mark McGwire fan growing up. Yeah.
Yeah. Lou Gehrig, Chipper Jones, Aaron Judge, who's not a Hall of Famer, but he's on that path. Harmon Killebrew, Ralph Kiner, Mickey Mantle, Willie McCovey, Mike Schmidt, and Jim Tomei. Now, only 13 all-time to do it, 3 of which are Philadelphia Phillies, which is pretty incredible, frankly. So Kyle Schwarber, I still don't understand it at leadoff sometimes, but what you're doing is absolutely incredible. I mean, to join that company in the annals of Major League Baseball history, I don't know what to say. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, Kyle Schwarber in that lucky number 13 category of greats with the numbers. It definitely, for all of us that were questioning Schwarber being in the leadoff spot, you proved why you were there, and I'm glad you did, and I'm glad that Kyle Schwarber continues to be able to get. We're giving him the love, Moper. He's getting the love now because you cannot deny that Kyle Schwarber is right now on the path of being in that conversation of the greats. But a couple things I want to just jump in on the chat here. Moper, I like that you called out the shirt. Andrew also did as well. This is one of our PHLY shirts.
Here is in, and I got the sticker right here. It's not as cool as Renee's shirt. So you can
head on over if you want to check out the shirts. For those that are diehards, you actually get a shirt. You can see it on the left there of your screen in the light blue. That's what I'm currently rocking. You can become a diehard, get a free shirt. Very comfy, you said? Yeah, it is.
Really nice material. Mine's out in my bag. Very nice
cottony material, and definitely something that you can do to rock all of our shows and all of our gear. And then also, I know we've talked a lot about the game, and we jumped right into recapping the game and what happened on the diamond, but we forgot to talk about what happened Friday night. We were wondering if Scott Rowland was going to get any boos with the Wall of Fame induction. Fortunately, we did not, but actually it looked like what just happened was the people that didn't want to be there or didn't want to support just were not there.
Yeah, walk away.
It was a small turnout. The people that were there quietly applauded. There was no need for this roaring standing ovation or anything, but just to be respectful and give Scott Rowland an applause, some cheers, and keep it positive, especially as we talked about Friday. We're in such a better place right now. It's like when you move on from an ex, there's no reason to hold a grudge anymore. Like you've moved on in a positive way, and I won't say upgraded in this situation, but the team has upgraded for sure.
Yeah.
So there's no reason to harp on the past. We're not. This is a whole new team. It's a whole new era. So yes, happy to see that there were no boos, and happy to see that you guys are liking the shirt because, again, you can check it out and purchase it on our website to be able to rock the PHLY shirt.
Yeah, it is good to see. I'm up the age where I still grew up going to games where there was fights all over the place, cursing all over the place, but it has shifted in town. These last 10 years, probably since these teams started being successful.
Well, that helps.
Amazing how that kind of goes hand in hand. Yeah. Funny how that happens. But there has been a turn and a shift in the Philadelphia sports fan. And yeah, you'll still get some outrageous characters here and there. You will at every city across the country. But there has been a shift overall in the mindset of Philly sports fans.
We're not bitter.
It's like we have a couple titles. Now the Sixers need to get a title. The Eagles gave us one. The Flyers are about 8 years from being removed from the cup. Actually, their nameplate is going to be removed. So they might want to think about getting one. And shout out to Bill Matz. Happy birthday to Bill from our Flyers crew. Him and Charlie were on a little bit earlier. They're at least headed in the right direction. But, winning definitely helps a fan base be less,
It's a very simple formula.
Yeah.
When you win, everybody's happier. And I'll even it's been gross the last days. And I know people that were talking about it in the chat were saying how gross the weather's been. I haven't felt how gross the weather's been because I'm happy. All of our teams are winning and doing well. Of course, the Eagles play tonight, so we'll see what happens there. They should win that one also, but our teams are winning. Things are happy. It doesn't matter what's going on, but when teams, especially when they're losing and they're frustrating you with late mistakes, winnable games, comebacks that they're falling short, you are just so angry and you don't want to. You're just grumpy. You're just bitter, grumpy fan, and so that makes it a lot tougher to be happy about things like a Wall of Fame induction versus now where we're in such a more positive space. So yeah, I agree. Winning helps cure a lot of things.
Yeah, okay. not difficult to figure us out. And like Bryce Harper, I know we're going to talk about him a little bit today. Some people call it pandering. I just call it a superstar figuring this fan base out very quickly. He might pander with some of the fanatic stuff, but I genuinely kind of believe that he loves it here. He loves what a sports city this is. And you saw him out there on Sunday wearing the Eagles socks under his uniform. That type of stuff, we eat it up. All you have to do is play hard, Hold yourself accountable, and that's it. Like, we're not a hard fan base to figure out at all. It's been misrepresented in the national media forever and ever. It's exhausting, but it is what it is.
And you know what it is? It's because of the quick side note. It's because of the fact that people from the outside looking in
are jealous,
but they also don't understand. Like, I won't say it's not all Philly fans that are out here flipping cars and climbing light posts and things and sitting on bus stops. That's not all Philly fans. And I
saw some of that on Broad Street.
It's rude.
They were having fun.
Yeah, but it's not all of us. And to sit up and say, like, every Philly sports fan is ridiculous.
Don't forget the horse poop guy.
I mean, look. Horse poop, Santa Claus. You know, we have had our list of bad things.
Santa Claus was drunk and sloppy.
There was a fan that puked on like a dad and his 11-year-old at a game.
Mom.
Like, I mean, look, we've had our fair share of bad apples, but the whole batch is not bad because of it. We're passionate, and also we just expect more from our teams. Like we've talked about before, there are absolutely the fan bases that I feel like they just don't care whether their teams win or lose because they're not true fans. We absolutely do. And we're going to be depressed if our team, and I can speak from experience. I know I'm like this. My family's like this. The Sixers aren't playing well. The Eagles aren't playing well. The Phillies aren't playing well. Don't talk to any of us. Because it's just like, we all as one, fans and players and coaches, we're all one, basically. So, yeah, when you win, we're not as bitter, and we're going to hold you accountable if you're not winning, not playing hard, not doing those little things.
We're not tough to figure out.
We're not.
And Bryce figured it out, majestically. And this Phillies team, we've talked about it, just how likable they all are.
So likable. Especially when they're winning.
Yeah. And just to dive more into the nitty-gritty of the weekend before we move on to Saturday, shout out to Taijuan Walker. Not a great game, but his best in about 8 or 9 starts. It was interesting because Sanchez, and we'll get into him on Sunday's game, he had another gem. You know, Rob Thompson in his mind, because he made the comment of like, yeah, Christopher's been so good. I'm not afraid to use him in high leverage situations. And he kind of said for the first time, it's going to be hard to rule him out of even starting a game. Sanchez has been that good. Maybe Taijuan Walker, noticed that it's slipping away from him, a possible playoff start here, because that's who you'd consider Sanchez over as Walker. So it was good to see, his best start in a while out of Taijuan, good enough to get the win. So, good job, Taijuan, getting it done. Hopefully you've turned a corner a little bit because you were a literal gas can out there for your last 8 starts.
Well, that's what pressure brings. Obviously for the bullpen specifically, and we haven't even had a chance to really get into Orion Kinkering enough, and we'll talk a lot about Orion in a moment. But when you have these changes that are being made, bringing in Richard Orion, I should say, seeing how Sanchez has been playing, Ranger working back, it challenges everybody else, and that's where you had the choice. You're either going to step up or you're not going to step up. And it's very simple. It's postseason time, and we've all been keeping an eye on the bullpen and the rotation and what it's going to look like come Red October. Well, it's almost Red October. We're in the final days, and it's time for everybody. This is when you're like the most under the microscope because you're playing the Mets, you're playing Pittsburgh, you're playing teams that you should be able to beat. You shouldn't be giving up runs and honestly a lot of hits, and you should be able to show us why in a high leverage situation we can count on you. So I think for Taijuan specifically getting the start, we talked about on Friday what we predicted. We just wanted Taijuan to be good, and Taijuan was just good. It wasn't phenomenal. It wasn't this like earth-shattering where he had 10 strikeouts. Oh wait, somebody did, Christopher Sanchez. But it was at least enough where we can say good enough. It's like a solid C, like an average, maybe a B performance, but it wasn't abysmal where you put the Phillies in a huge hole.
And
so
he had
that's
been
a positive takeaway.
His ERA was up around like 8 over those starts. So good to see that. Moving on to Saturday, Bryce Harper, 20th home run of the year, kind of sparked that 7-5 win over the Mets. I am going to raise my hand here. I did not think his power was going to return this year after the Tommy John. I compared it to Shohei Ohtani when he came back from his Tommy John. He completely lost his power for that year. Then the following year, he came back and hit 45 home runs or whatever it was. I just was trying to come to terms with Bryce's power not really returning. I said I would have been happy if he got to 15 home runs a couple months ago. He's now at 20 with the chance to get a couple more. He talked about it after the game on Saturday. He was like, I'm really, really happy that I was able to get to 20 considering, the rehab and process I was coming off of. So that there's a lot going on here in a positive way. Kimbrel's one of the negative kind of trends, but Bryce Harper's power returning to me is an absolute game changer for this franchise because he might be the most clutch hitter in Major League Baseball, and now you're putting that big game potential, home run on the table for them.
Yeah.
That's really exciting.
Well, what makes it even more interesting for all of us that paid attention this past weekend, 20 home runs, 70 RBIs, 70-20, which is a number that we've seen this past weekend in a different way.
Oh, God.
Miami Dolphins, I'm looking at you. Denver, I'm looking at you.
I made the worst bet of my life yesterday, and I took the Denver Broncos.
No, you did not.
I did.
Why?
Because I'm an idiot.
Wow, that was like not even close to being right.
I was thinking
very far off.
It was
that's 50 points off.
That was better to me than losing one like at the last minute. You know what I mean? So I was just like, this is what a loser. Who bets on the Broncos? I put my feet up. I started laughing at myself. Poured another glass of wine. That was an absolute beatdown.
Yikes! I cannot believe that you.
Well, I had Raheem Mostert in one of my fantasy leagues, so that was pretty cool.
Okay. Yeah. There you go.
Nice little 45-point performance out of him.
I mean, honestly, I can't believe that we even saw a game like that. But I love the fact that Mike McDaniel used to be the water boy for the Broncos early on in his career.
Didn't even give him an interview.
Nope. And then turned around and put up 70. And honestly, I saw the stat. It was like, not to get football, we'll switch back in a moment. But it was the first time that's happened since like 1966. And it was the second highest time.
72 is the record.
Yeah,
right?
72 is the highest for a team in a game. So 70-20 is the number that
Bryce
we saw,
Harper
and
and
that's
the
the number that
Dolphins
Bryce Harper.
Broncos.
There you go. So you know what? What I'm saying is great. This is a sign of great things to come even more, to have 70-20 in your stat line.
So he had 3 RBIs Saturday night, which is awesome, but he now has 15 home runs in his last 44 games.
That's an even better number.
That is really encouraging for the playoffs because we all know Bedlam at the bank and those Schwarber bombs in San Diego last year. Those are the and Reese's home runs. Like the home runs are the things you look back on as, this could really change. Like one home run in a postseason can kind of change everything. Mm-hmm. And now that Bryce has that power back, it's really, really encouraging to see. And then Bohm followed up, his Friday night performance with another dinger. So that was great to see. And Castellanos stayed hot. So these guys are at the plate. They're all executing right now. It's really, really good to see with only a week left on the year.
It was. And honestly, the hitting is something. Hitting in the bullpen have been the two major question marks that we've talked about all season. In the last weeks, we haven't had anything really negative to say on the hitting side. But this team is a home run team, and they can knock balls out of the ballpark. But then on the other side, Zack Wheeler. We love to see the way that Zack Wheeler has been pitching, and also what we like about the fact that the games got played. More importantly, is that the rotation doesn't get impacted. So now Zack Wheeler able to play Thursday. We'll get to start, and then come postseason time, we'll be able to start game 1. So not only has Zack Wheeler been rounding out the bullpen, continuing to be one of the strongest pitchers for the Phillies, but also 4-0 on his last 6 starts and able to keep those starts in line with the postseason. So it's great to see not only game-wise are the Phillies getting it done, but the rotations are working out that come postseason, come around October from game 1. We're sitting in a really good spot for sure.
Yeah,
so.
Wheeler's look like an ace. And, that's really important, especially with Nola. It just, you never know what you're going to get there. So Wheeler, as you said, 4 in his last 6. That's another positive. There's way more positive trends right now with the Phillies than there are negative ones. And to me, we talked about it over these, past 2 weeks. Jose Alvarado has been spectacular lately. He's got swing and miss stuff back. The IL trip really kind of derailed him a little bit this year. He pitched a perfect 9th inning on Saturday night. And he's been, one thing I'm going to be paying attention to in this final week is the save situations. It seems to me as though Alvarado's getting more of a chance lately than ever. And some of the numbers on him, I'll find him in my notes here. But it's a career. I think he's 10 out of 12 save opportunities. I believe it's his career high for save opportunities.
Yep.
Here it is yesterday. He had the perfect 9th, 2 saves in as many appearances since Friday and has recorded 3 saves and 1 hold in his last 4 appearances since the 15th. In those 14 appearances since coming off the IL, 5 holds, his ERA is at 2.7, only allowed 9 hits, 9 walks, 21 strikeouts, and he's dominating left-handed batters, and he's throwing gas. According to StatCast, I believe he is in the 98th percentile of average fastball velocity. His average fastball is almost 99 miles an hour. So you finally see he's fully healthy again, and he looks spectacular. I don't know what Rob Thompson's going to do. I don't think they're not going to give Craig Kimbrell a Hall of Famer. They're going to give him the save opportunities come playoff time. But this is kind of like the Sanchez and Walker. Like they're going in different directions.
Yep.
Alvarado is soaring right now, and Kimbrell is struggling a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see what they do, but I have to think Rob Thompson's probably going to stick with Kimbrell.
Yeah. I wanted to just jump back into Zack Wheeler really quickly, and I actually just share the fact that he, not only are we seeing for a bright spot that the rotation stays the same, but another bright spot is Wheeler and the team are in a whole different spot, obviously, than last year, not having to worry about, I mean, it came down to the end for clinching a wild card spot last year, but for Wheeler working back from an injury last year versus now being healthy, being in full form. And the numbers that I saw was that he's 7-5 with a 4.46 ERA when he's coming off of 5 or more days of rest. So it's really important to keep him going, because when he has 4 days or less, he's 5-1 with a 1.86 ERA, which is a huge difference than a 4.46 ERA. So Zack Wheeler in rotation, Jose Alvarado, the closer, just has been the numbers as you just read, career high. So as somebody was talking, a couple people, I know Imposter Tim, you were saying it before you said the Braves can go take a dump, which I love that comment. You were saying how it is hard to find a negative thing to say right now. The stats are spectacular. John, I agree with you. They're real. They're spectacular. Who would have thought that we'd be having these numbers and talking about, just how much the bullpen has been a positive and consistently a positive. And unfortunately, on the other side of that is Craig Kimbrell, who's not only struggling. We saw Craig blow the save Friday. It was the first that he's blown since August 30th. But it also has continued to be an issue for the pitch clock and for his lack of awareness with stolen bases. And for Craig Kimbrell to come out, and I saw a nice piece that Alex Coffey put together that nice, but it was unfortunately very eye-opening for Craig Kimbrell, because as we're talking about how great the bullpen's been, Craig Kimbrell comes out and says, like, I'm aware that I'm moving slow on the pitch clock, but that's just really how it's okay. That's how I'm just going to take my time, because it's better for me to slow down, and maybe the pitch clock runs out, but I'm taking my time and getting a better pitch. And the hard part is we have pitchers in the bullpen that don't have these issues, Craig Kimbrell. They're not blowing saves. They're getting their pitch in time. They're getting better numbers. They're not having so many stolen bases happen. So it was a weird take, because it's kind of like, just own up to the fact you're taking too long and you're having these errors that can cost the team in a big moment, Craig. So you need to fix it, because right now, if you, in my opinion, fix it or have a seat.
Yeah, I'd much rather him pay attention to the base stealers than worry about the pitch clock. I can kind of live with the pitch clock a little bit. I know that obviously in a perfect world you want both of these things.
Ideally.
But like the base stealing to me come postseason is a way bigger deal than the pitch clock violations. We'll see what happens there. But, Tyler, I got a cough here.
He zoomed it on you. We get a nice close-up of Jamie coughing. Jamie is losing it because we have so many positive things to say. It's like your mind
gets me very verklempt.
It just gets you so excited to talk about.
Phillies make me emotional.
Oh, yeah, Phillies. But no.
They're playing so well right now. All right, I'm gonna take another sip. This is really
Go ahead and take your time. We'll let Jamie get it together so he doesn't die here on us.
God.
But in the chat, you guys are absolutely right in what you're saying. Positive energy. Who started drinking already besides coffee? Mober's asking who started drinking. We're not talking about coffee. I think you're talking about some beer and things.
After my Sunday performance, gonna take the day off.
It's never too early. We do have to get into Orion and let's talk Orion and Aaron Nola. But first, as we're talking about gear, there's another spot you can always purchase some great gear, and that's Foco. Foco's got you covered. Apparel, merchandise, collectibles, bobbleheads, you name it. Foco's got it. You can check them out using the code PHLY.
They got the hot Phillies overalls. I saw somebody on social media this weekend.
They've got hot Philly overalls. Yeah. Whatever it is, bracelets, overalls, you name it. Foco's got it. So for the code PHLY, you get 10% off. Get that discount so you can rock some great merch heading into Red October and be able to cheer on your team. So get that man some Tussin. Robitussin is in order from John Dickerson. I agree. I think he needs a tea and some Robitussin for sure because it is Red October. The weather's getting cooler. It's time to bring out pants. You know what probably would help, Jamie, if you start wearing shoes and pants instead of flip-flops and shorts?
Not yet. There we go.
Like, we're in totally different. I've got on, like, my fuzzy shoes today, fur, my like fake Ugg shoes.
As the great Antonio Banderas would say,
no yet. Not yet. It is time. Well, that's why your immune system sucks right now. Between the
no, it's more the children being back at school.
I'm going to blame it on the shorts.
Immune system is strong.
But let's talk about the bullpen a little bit more because we've got
story of the weekend.
The big story, and it's a shame it happened Friday right after our show finished that the news broke that 11:30 a.m. Richard Orion Kinkering got the call. He's been
you went birth name.
Oh, yeah.
Full birth
I love
name.
the fact that his whole family is Richard blank Kinkering, but they go by their middle names. That's such a sweet story. You've got Richard Orion, his dad, who we definitely saw plenty of, Richard Todd, his grandpa, Richard John. I'm thinking about doing that with my kids. It's going to be Renee blank, whatever my last name is, moving forward after Orion. Now, Orion is, for anybody that's a science fan like myself, it is a constellation, and it's very cool when you think about the fact that Orion is named after the hunter in Greek mythology. I did some digging.
Wow,
because
you went down a rabbit hole, huh?
I went down a rabbit hole. I already knew this, but I wanted to make sure I was correct. I didn't want to give you guys false information.
No.
So Orion is actually a constellation, but not only is it a constellation of a Greek hunter. So when you think about a hunter, they've got like a sword and all this stuff, but it's also got 2 of the 10 brightest stars that you can see at night. Now, one of the things that makes this so cool is it's also one of the closest and most stellar constellations in like the Milky Way. We can go down a whole rabbit hole. But what I thought was the coolest when you talk about the brightest stars and shining bright like Orion, we saw Orion shine pretty bright in his debut with the Phillies. So for Orion to be able to come out, get the call up, and in a 6-month span, has moved from team to team to team. It's remarkable to see how he's been called up, but also his story, his dad, and the numbers to get 2 strikeouts, both on sliders, 12 pitches, 10 sliders, and the slider is really what's got him here because it's got one of the best in the game. And what were your thoughts on Orion and his debut?
Yeah, I was actually texting with Vince Pellegrini here. I think somebody was cutting onions in my living room when they were showing the family getting choked up there. It was pretty awesome. I mean, it was elite stuff. You could see right away with that slider that he's got. And you don't have to take my word for it. You can take JT Realmuto's word for it.
Yeah.
Because he's pretty good at the catcher position. He said, I don't know if they classify that as a sweeper or not because it's thrown so hard, but it has that type of movement and that type of horizontal break, but it's at 88 miles an hour. It's one of the more unique sliders I've seen in this game. Mm-hmm. That is high praise right there.
Captain Kirk,
and
for sure.
And you saw, subscribe to Rich Hoffman's daily newsletter. It's awesome. And I was reading Rich's newsletter this morning, and he was just talking about how it was consistently clocking in at 88, 89 miles an hour. For a pitch with that type of movement to be thrown that hard, that's going to give batters fits. He got 2 strikeouts there. It's going to be fun to watch this kid. And the other point that Rich raised was sometimes, and I saw somebody in the chat earlier, and forgive me, I forget who it was, said, is he going to be on the 40-man for the playoffs? You bet your ass he is.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to ask me if I want to see Orion or Soto, yeah, the answer is pretty easy. I want to see Orion. So, Rich in the newsletter compared it to kind of David Price in 2008, who came up for the Rays, but didn't come up as a starter, came up in the pen that postseason, and was a hard-throwing kid that probably didn't realize, was too young and naive for the big moment and just came out and pitched great until he ran into the Phillies. And maybe Orion can be that kind of young catalyst for the bullpen, and you can lose some dead weight in Soto there. So for me, really exciting to see this kid. And then he throws, 98 to 100 on top of it.
Oh, my gosh.
He's got filth. And, he went through the ranks this year. It's rarely done to go low A, high A, double A, triple A, and the major league roster all in 1 year. The last person to do it was Jose Contreras, who was a 31-year-old rookie.
Yeah.
This kid's different. And if you're, like our producer, Tyler Zulli, if you're a seam head that loves baseball and loves pitching, you should follow this account, Rob Friedman, the pitching ninja. And he always does great videos and stuff of pitchers breaking stuff. And he's in love with Orion. He said he's the whole constellation. He's not a star.
It's not just Orion's bell
he's
or
nasty.
star.
This kid's got something, and he should be a staple of this bullpen for years to come.
Yeah. My apologies, Kinkering. I keep saying Kinkering, but Captain Kirk. I mean, the historic things that he's doing right now in just that one game. When he gets the opportunity in the postseason, because it's absolutely set up with Rhys Hoskins, and I'll get into the logistics, and we can get into that in just a bit more. He will be the first pitcher to wear a Phillies uniform to make a debut in September and then pitch in the playoffs since 1980. And guess who? Marty Bystrom was the first to do that, and then also the first to get called up 1 year after getting drafted for the Phillies.
That's wild. Fifth round pick.
Aaron Nola, as a 5th round pick. And as you talk about that journey, it's remarkable. Single A Clearwater's where he started out, struck out 18 and walked 1 in 10 1/3 scoreless innings in his 9 appearances. Then from Single A Clearwater goes to High A Jersey Shore, then to Double A Reading, then to Triple A Lehigh Valley. That was just on September 18th. Played 1 game and ends up after playing with the Iron Pigs for a very short time, in less than 6 months of movement, is now with the Phillies and comes into this game and just shows us why he's one of the best. And we've talked about the bullpen and changes and adjustments and what's the order going to look like. Well, here comes Captain Kirk with Orion's, as you mentioned, the whole constellation. Shine bright like Orion is going to be like my new thing.
And Tyler Zulli is in the chat exposing his baseball nerddom here. And he says that he could give you that Brandon Finnegan 2014 Royals type of boost if the stuff is right. Tyler, that is some deep level of baseball nerddom right there by you. Me and Rich Hoffman, we went surface level. David Price, you're going real deep with Brandon Finnegan. Price. And Mopar, look, we understand the kid hasn't done anything, but the thing I look for with rookies when they make their debut is, do they look like they belong immediately? And that's it. Do they look like they're a pro from the start? And yes, this kid hasn't done anything. He's pitched 1 inning of baseball. He did get 2 strikeouts, but his stuff is electric. And when you hear a vet like JT Realmuto talk about that type of 88-mile-an-hour movement on a pitch, that's something to be excited about. So that's all it is. We're not saying he's sealing the World Series, Mopar. We're just saying that kid looks like he's got nasty stuff. And this is kind of unprecedented for the Phillies. Like you just said, this hasn't been done before. The last time was Jose Contreras as a 31-year-old. It's rare to see a kid do what he just did. He won the Paul Owens Award for the best pitcher in the minor league system. He went through the ranks and excelled at every level. So this is really encouraging because the Phillies historically have kind of been their own worst enemy in the way they treated minor leaguers, and there was always such a fear of bringing them up, and then they went the Kingery route, and that was weird. They paid him before he even played, and it's just like, all right, try something. And they're trying something now, and it's John Middleton in this kind of new era of ownership group, and in this new front office with Dombrowski and everything, they're not afraid to try stuff anymore, and they're not afraid to call kids up. So it's really encouraging to see, and I hope this kid thrives in the playoffs because what a great story from the weekend.
And that's exactly it. We have talked about for Rob Thompson, for the Phillies as a whole, that we want to see them make adjustments. It's okay if, maybe Soto's not pitching as well or Craig Kimbrell's not pitching as well, and you have to make an adjustment.
I don't want to see Soto in the playoffs.
But make the adjustment. And this is encouraging that we actually see them making an adjustment, trying something out. This is a great time to do it. You've got 6 games left in the remainder of the regular season. It's 2 series that you should win, and to be able to try out to see how is Orion going to step into the mix. And like you mentioned, it's not just about the stats, but also about how can he perform at the highest level. I mean, when you look at
he looks like he belongs.
All of the games, all the levels, single A all the way through triple A, it's completely different. When you go to a Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs game, and no knock on them, it's not the same as what you're going to get at Citizens Bank Park. It's just not the same atmosphere. And I like that Rob Thompson was saying that's something that jumped out at him, is that, we talked to him about the adjustment going in front of, way more fans, a louder environment. And he liked the fact that he had that composure. And that's what stood out to me. He wasn't shaking. He mentioned he was nervous. But he said once he heard the cheers, Orion was like, I was good. I settled in once I heard the cheers. He was shaken, not stirred. Very much just calm, cool, and collected. Stuck to what he does best, showed us a little teaser of what he does best. And yes, although it was just 1 inning, it gives us something hopeful that he can come in and really help round out the postseason roster, because as you talk about, he is eligible for the postseason.
Yeah.
Because he was in the Phillies organization before August 31st. Even though he wasn't on the 40-man roster before that date, he can be a postseason replacement with Rhys Hoskins if he's unable to play in that first round, which we don't expect him to be back for the wild card round.
Play in that one.
He will not. Science, and there it is. He will not be back for that round. If Rhys Hoskins returns, it'd be later on in the postseason. So it does give Captain Kirk the ability to come in and play in the postseason, which is exciting to see with how he can add to the bullpen.
I cannot wait. I really hope they win the first round, because John Blaze, every time I see your stupid Atlanta Braves thing pop up in the chat,
You're so triggered.
I'm so ready for that series, because I just think the Phillies are playing. We have so much going right now. They couldn't be, pulling it all together at a better time. And yes, I understand part of it is the Mets and Pirates and Mets to end the year, but you just did it against the Braves, and everybody offensively is kind of rounding into form. And it was such a long decade here without playoff baseball. To have it now 2 years in a row like this, and our man Vince saying, they're the anti-Sixers. They step up when it comes playoff time. I kind of feel like they do. Like this team and that clubhouse and their likability and just, they do seem extremely tight-knit. And I just think that is a great recipe for playoff success here. So, it's a really exciting time in Phillies land. I cannot wait. We're not that far away. I mean, we were talking playoff schedule because we have to get ready for next week the other day, and I was like, wow, this is really close. I cannot wait to see the bunting flag all over the field at Citizens Bank Park. And again, the magic number for home games is 2. Utah, give me 2. Magic number to get in the playoffs is just 1, but 2 for home field at Citizens Bank Park. So they'll be back in action tomorrow. They can clinch the playoff berth, and hopefully they just keep this winning streak rolling and can clinch home field on Wednesday here.
Yeah. I mean, look, it makes it that much more exciting to see just how the roster's rounding out, how we're consistently getting the bullpens coming together. Michael Lorenzen, another one who he had a perfect ninth to earn the save. Becomes the 10th pitcher to throw an individual no-hitter and record a save in the same season since saves became an official stat back in 1969. And that's
pretty wild,
according to Elias Sports Bureau. So, look, there's a lot of history being made here, a lot of stats that we're seeing, a lot of first since, and this is the second time since.
Yeah.
That in itself is great to be able to have the improvements from the team, that they're finding ways to get wins. And even in a crappy weather weekend, the games get played. Those are the types of games that could honestly go anyway. We saw the wind carrying the ball. We know how the mist was impacting things, but the Phillies still were able to grind out a win.
Yeah.
So lots there to be encouraged by.
Yeah, they did it in several different ways, like you're kind of saying, and that is a great thing to see because, the Mets were playing pretty well coming into this series. They had won 6 of their last 10, and they did it off of a blown save where they got a bloop single. They did it with home runs. They did it with some pitching. They did it with some bullpen. It was just like total team efforts this weekend. And much like the team efforts you get from DraftKings Sportsbook. We're back. And don't be an idiot like me and bet on the Denver Broncos. They're not good at football. I don't know why I had that idea yesterday. I got too cute. But DraftKings Sportsbook is keeping you in the NFL with action every week and great offers every single game day. There's 2 games tonight. I think the Birds are going to roll. To me, this was just kind of a Joe Public weekend where the favorites steamrolled their way through it. So I'm going to roll with the Birds tonight. I don't give a damn about Baker Mayfield. But new customers can bet $5 and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Throw 5 down on any of this week's epic matchups and walk away an instant winner. And it's not just for new customers, it's for all customers because you can take advantage of 2 new offers every game day this September. Football's more fun when you're in on the action, unless you bet the Broncos because they suck. So download the app now and sign up using code PHLY. New customers can bet $5 and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL with code PHLY. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccp.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort licensee partner Golden Nugget Lake Charles, 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms for eligibility terms and responsible gaming resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply.
29 seconds. I'm just kidding. I didn't time you. I forgot to start the clock.
That's all right. I was ready for that double dot ready. That time.
The double dot didn't get you this time.
See you, Mopar.
Yes,
go Birds.
Later, Mopar. We have... look, I don't even know where to get into next. We have a little less than 15 minutes remaining in the show. This hour just flies by so fast, guys. Time just flies when you're having fun, of course. We've got Aaron Nola with a chance, a huge chance to finish out the regular season on the right track, maybe.
Kind of fitting that he's on the mound with the magic number being 1. I don't think anybody's really worried about them making the playoffs, but it would be nice to see Aaron Nola take the ball and get it done and just do it, first chance they have at it. Just get her done. So hopefully Nola, tomorrow night can take the bull by the horns and clinch a playoff berth. And Rob Thompson talked about it. He was like, and some of the players yesterday were like, you talk all season about making the playoffs and that's the goal. And now we're on the doorstep. And Rob said, you do have to take time and celebrate. And it is hard to make the playoffs. So everything that comes out of that locker room, they seem to have their heads screwed on right. You do take a moment, you celebrate it because it's a long ass season. So it should be pretty fun tomorrow night for them. And I personally would like to see Aaron Nola get it done because he's so important to this team and such a polarizing figure for whatever reason. It would be nice to not have... I don't like going through Aaron Nola sucks Twitter games. You know what I mean? Like, I don't... it's true. He does suck sometimes, especially this year, but I don't like it because everybody just starts piling on the dude, and he's critical to this Phillies World Series run, and this might be, the last games we see him in a Phillies uniform. So, magic number, him on the hill tomorrow. Go get her done. Get her done.
It is, and it's interesting because in my Friday show for the Union podcast with our guest Ali Bedoya, captain and midfielder from the Philadelphia Union, he was talking about how after they clinched the playoff spot, they kind of had that same moment too. Bless you, Tyler, where they were kind of like, well, we expected this, but we still have to be excited about this. And I think for all Philly sports teams, minus the Flyers, the playoffs, that's not where the bar is. You know, we expect that all of our Philly teams are going to clinch a playoff spot, and the bar is at winning championships, winning your division, winning the East, winning your championships. But it's not the playoffs. So it is great every once in a while to take a step back and be reminded that there was a time that the playoffs were not happening in Philly for a lot of our teams, and now we can sit up and just be, looking past that as a milestone. But the Phillies should clinch. They will clinch tonight. They have off tomorrow.
It's nice. The last two Eagles primetime games, the Phillies have been off. They didn't want us doing the two screens. They just want the focus on them. So
absolutely.
Great job by the scheduling gods there.
Definitely. Well, exactly that. Thank you, Spiral, for joining us on Friday, and also for the kind words. Appreciate that. And I love that people are saying they wish this show was longer. I wish it was a little bit longer too, but an hour is all you get for now.
John Dickerson, I have not tried the Wagyu beef jerky yet. I assumed it would be really expensive. We are a beef jerky house.
I was going to ask that, actually.
Yeah,
it's like you read my mind.
Addie, my wife, is a big beef jerky fan. And any road trip we take, I'm usually gummy bears and beef jerky bag. Those are like my two staples. I like to throw a Pringles in because the tube fits well in the car. You can kind of stash it places. So I would say those are like the three top road trips. So I know the Phillies are all big on this Wagyu beef jerky. I will have to try some, but I have not ordered it yet.
Okay.
But very pro jerky. So just want that to be clear. Love me some jerky.
Okay. I'm a good jerky fan.
That sounded, yeah.
I'm a jerky fan.
I didn't mean it to sound like that. Tyler, pro jerky?
You're a jerk.
Pro jerky. All right. We're officially a jerky show. We will have to get some Wagyu beef jerky for the playoffs, and hopefully, like
munch
the team.
On that.
Yeah.
And the exciting thing is, as we get into the playoffs, I know people have asked on Twitter. I know you guys have talked about it in the chat around the show. Those that are subscribing and tuning in across podcast platforms, it's been a question of, what's the playoff schedule going to look like? Just to remind you, not only are you going to get more shows, so if you're complaining you want more than an hour, don't worry, we've got you covered, because come playoff time, which is just around the corner, according to the clock and Mother Nature, we are almost at Red October. You're going to get to tune in. We're going to have live pregame shows and postgame shows for every single playoff game. Let me say that louder for the people in the back. A post-game show and a pre-game show, a pre-game show, and then a post-game show for every single game in Red October. So as the Phillies are going to be rolling through the playoffs, we're going to be rolling through shows with giving you lots and lots of content that you'll be able to tune in live.
And hopefully eating lots of celebration
these
jerky
conversations.
Here.
Yes, we'll have plenty of celebrations to get into. There's plenty of games. And if you're looking to find a spot to buy tickets to your games or concerts, you can head on over to the Game Time app. The Game Time app has you covered, or you can use that code PHLY, get $20 off of your purchase, and be able to find tickets to whatever it is that you are looking to attend in person. Now, games are winding down for the regular season, but the real season is beginning. The offense is clicking. The bullpen is coming together and rounding out nicely. We've got beef jerky. We've got a break today to go cheer on the Eagles.
We've got a constellation in the bullpen
We've got a
for us.
Constellation the stars are aligning.
Yeah.
For the Phillies.
It's just good vibes all around.
I mean, what else can we even talk about? Oh, maybe the magic number in the playoff picture. Let's take a look at that. It's been a little while since
and currently I think the Diamondbacks and Yankees, somebody in the chat is saying, are all tied up at 3 here. But yeah, like we said, it's 2 to get the home field games at Citizens Bank Park in the first round. It does look like you're pretty much on a pretty tight collision course here. Arizona and Cubs are going back and forth a little bit. If I had to guess right now, you're going to face the Diamondbacks in round 1. And if you're lucky enough to win that, you'll be heading down to Atlanta. And then the Cubs will probably draw the Brewers in round 1. And the winner of that series, the way it looks right now, will be taking on the Dodgers in LA.
Yeah.
Phillies, I would rather take on the Dodgers than the Braves, to be honest. But the Phillies are not afraid of the Braves at all. So, they're a nasty team. They're loaded. We've gone through the numbers on the Braves a couple times, and I hate them. But it does look like Arizona and Phillies, if all stays well here, are going to face each other next week, starting October 3rd, I believe. 3rd, 4th, and 5th will be those games. So it's going to be here before you know it.
Yeah, I mean, it is bottom of the 7th. It is tied up 3-3 with the Diamondbacks and the Yankees.
Yanks.
So I think it was Patrick Glenn that was saying in the chat, it's weird to say go Yankees. It was a while back. But yeah, I mean, look, we've been cheering for other teams. At one point, we actually cheered for the Diamondbacks because we didn't want the Cubs to win. And now look at the Cubs.
I'd rather play the Cubs than the Diamondbacks if I had my choice. Because Arizona's pesky. They're young. Corbin Carroll's
I actually agree with you, John Blaze, on that one.
They're
they
a
are
pain
a
in the
young,
ass.
fast team. It's a tough matchup. But look, I always will say it doesn't matter. Come postseason time, whoever you face. Just be the better team, one game at a time. But also just it's been great to see that we haven't needed as much help. Like, I know at one point we were like, we want this team to win or that team to help us out. Yes, we could use the help, but the Phillies are most importantly taking care of their own business.
Yeah, Bum said
getting it done on the
Saturday
field.
night. He was like, yeah, it is kind of like scoreboard watching season, but he's like, the nice thing with us is we control our own destiny.
Bingo.
So he's like,
unlike other teams.
Yeah, he's like, we just have to go out and perform. And then, I yesterday in the locker room, they had the NFL games on during the delay, and the scheduled delay, I guess I should say. But apparently everybody was paying attention the most to the Brewers game on the TV. So they're watching, they're paying attention. But as you said, they're the boss. They control it.
Like you said, spiral out. We wonder what they're talking about in Atlanta in their chat of their live show, John Blaze. Oh, they don't have a show like PHLY. But look, this is the only spot you're going to get the pre and post. Well, not the only spot, but a spot to get pre and post game shows. You get our own unique songs. It's been kind of cool to see the way it's blown up. Not the way I thought my music career was going to debut. I'm feeling like Orion right now.
You're using us as a platform to your music career.
I'm in my Orion bag right now, where I'm making my debut, and I'm shining bright in my debut. Apparently, with my music career too, because it's calls for some requests. And basically, if this doesn't work out, I'm out of here. I'm going to go become a performer and get my SoundCloud link out there, and you'll see me there. So.
I mean, hell, Pink was just in town, and tickets were going for like $700. So it's good money, Renee. Go get that bag.
Go get that bag. There it is. It's great to see that. So we're going to continue to have fun here. I know tomorrow we'll get into some more specifics around just previewing the matchup against Pittsburgh, the series ahead, and also got to keep looking at all the positives. The offense, there's some great numbers that we haven't had a chance
we'll
to get
dive
into
more
today
into that tomorrow.
That we'll definitely have to break down tomorrow.
I'll just say this, way better than I realized watching them nightly. Like, they're putting up some numbers historically for them that I went, wow, I was kind of like unaware of how good this offense actually is. Real quick, as we're closing out the show, Renee, it is an Eagles game day.
Woo woo!
Gotta mention them. Eagles at the Bucks tonight. I think they're going to finally put it together and look like a elite offense again. I think tonight's the night they bust out. I like the Eagles tonight, and I'll be doing the pregame show with Bo Wolf and Zach Berman. We'll be on around 6:30, and then immediately after the game for an hour. So looking forward to that. I think the Eagles are going to be 3-0 after the Cowboys. 12.5-point favorites lose yesterday. The Commanders lost, and the Giants suck. So you could be the only NFC East team to get a W this weekend, and that would be quite nice because the Cowboys, they in fact suck.
They do. And it would be nice, Alex, if my music career does not plan out. If I don't become a 12-time Grammy winner, I can always go date a player. Thank you, Alex. I appreciate that. But look, in my opinion, today's game is just another chance for the Eagles to show why they're a top team in the league. A lot of people are continuously trying to pick at the first two games. It's so early in the season. It is the preseason, essentially. And I always say that I don't ever take, for the NBA, it's games before the Christmas break. For the NFL, it's these definitely August games. Early September games are like August games. It's just a matter of you just want to get a result, get a win, and then you're going to continue to round things out, especially with two new coordinators. It's a lot of change and a lot of new, and it's a lot coming together. But the Eagles are going to continue to show why they're a top team in the league, and they're absolutely going to win today. And we're going to continue to be able to laugh about those Cowgirls and Dak.
Did you see former Eagle Kazir White? He had a great game for the Cardinals yesterday in their win over the Cowboys. But he was in Dak's face, and he was pointing at him, and he goes, "You're a bum." And I was like, that guy is forever Philadelphia. That's
Forever
awesome.
Philly. Absolutely.
You're a bum. I love it.
Yes, absolutely. So we love a lot of things right now. If you are loving this shirt, for those of you that have joined in and missed what I was saying earlier, you can become a diehard and actually get this shirt for free. As you see on the left, it is the one that I'm wearing in the blue. For anybody that's unsure about the color, it is a light blue. It's the powder blue, but then also there's other shirts there you can check out as well. You can also purchase any of our merchandise online that we've got. And as always, you can be sure to tune in to follow our show across everything, podcast platforms, YouTube. We've got 5 days a week. We're bringing you shows plus other content that you're going to be getting as we get into Red October. So it only goes up from here for all of us in Philly, for all of our teams especially. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to another edition. It's always a fun time when we can talk victories and positives and the bullpen doing well. We're hitting, we're scoring runs. It's always sunny in Philadelphia when we're winning.
Yeah.
Have a great rest of your Monday. Go Eagles. Go Phillies tomorrow.
Go Birds.
We'll be back tomorrow with a show just previewing the Philly series, and we'll see you back for all that excitement to preview the matchup. So have a good one. We'll see you back here for more on PHLY Phillies Podcast.